I like your buzz cut.
In my what?
Your buzz cut. Your hair's a little shorter on the side than I saw you last.
Yeah, I fucked it all up. Just fucked it all up.
I find that hard to believe. Such a handsome fella. You could shave your head bald and no one would care.
No, problem is, a couple problems. One is I've got a deceptively round head, so I have to have it longer on top and longer on the bottom, so I don't look like a shit.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And also, in quarantine, I'm getting fat, and where I start getting fat first is right here.
Right.
So what I had done was I had trimmed off the beard because it was fucking up the mask coverage. You know, I took one for the team. You're welcome, America. And then it looked shitty. I trimmed it down to just the mustache, and it was not my deal at all.
Did you take a picture?
Ugh, I don't think I did.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was bad. And I had cut my hair too. So it was all roughly the same length. And then I had taken the beard off and only had hair in the middle of my face. And it was terrible. It accentuated the roundness.
Right. Well, it's a good thing that you can grow a full beard in like the span of like 45 minutes.
Yeah, so I've got to let this come back so nobody sees this thing here.
No, I know. That's the neck beard serves a purpose.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it absolutely does.
See, mine doesn't because it's kind of blonde reddish, but the dark neck beard, that's key.
Yeah, well, it's got to be I have to have the length here to hide what's under here.
Yeah, you make it
so
like
just having the beard at all doesn't work.
Right.
It just adds shadow. So then when my face does that sort of thing, then it just like I look like the underwater oh fuck, I forgotten his name. I'm happy that I forgot his name, but I need it right now. Jar Jar Binks guy.
Underwater Jar Jar Binks
episode
guy.
1, the boss guy, the fat one.
Okay. I think I know you're talking about that guy who like hobbled it, like his neck would shake.
Yeah.
Like when he laughed.
Yeah. I've got a Mitch McConnell thing going on.
Yeah. Well, whatever. It's a good thing neither of us knew that character's name from Star Wars. I just want to be happy. Let's accept the fact that
I had forgotten Jar Jar Binks, but then I put it back in my head.
Right. All right, everybody. You're listening to episode 184 of The Illustrious Gentleman. It's a podcast co-hosted by that guy Scott and myself, Ryan Cody. We're both comic book artists. Scott's currently working on Young Justice for DC Comics. I have number 19 behind my head for anyone who watches the video. And I am the colorist of Family Tree, Volume 2, back behind my head as well. Comes out next week. And both of those are available at all the finer comic shops all across the world and digitally on Comixology. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TIG_show. All the past episodes are available at tigshow.com or any of the big podcatcher sites that you like to listen to your podcasts at. And you can support the show at patreon.com/tigshow or buy some merch like this shirt that you can't see that I'm wearing at tigshow.com. There you go. Look at that. Both of us are repping the program today. But yeah, tigshow.com has everything you need. Patreon.com/tigshow is where you can always get video versions of the podcast. Although I want to try to make more episodes of the podcast available on YouTube. Just matters if I have time to edit them or not, because editing the video takes longer than editing the audio. But I have learned now that we've switched over to using Zoom to record everything. If I edit the video, then I can just output the audio. So it really is just one thing of editing. It just takes longer to edit the video file than an audio file, obviously. Yeah. But no, it's something I want to get into is more video content because I like to watch my podcasts, as weird as that sounds.
That does sound weird.
Yeah, I like to see the guys' faces when they're talking, I guess. They're just like you and I. They're both sitting in their rooms, looking sad, talking on the mic.
The point of podcasts for me is that it's not visual. that while I'm working, I can just put it on and I'm not tempted to have to look at anything.
Right. Yeah, I get that too. I guess it depends if I have an affinity towards them. So I guess I only watch like 3 podcasts, but it's because I think that they're funny enough that I want to see like the reactions, the way they act, or the whatever. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe every show I have a crush on somebody on the show, so maybe that's why I watch it. Who knows? Who can get into what's going on up here? Scott's not drinking today, but I am, even though I shouldn't be because I have so much work to do. But I have a Holiday Brewing Company from Golden, Colorado. There's another famous brewery from Golden, Colorado. Uh, this is called the Fat Randy's IPA, and it's a gluten-free IPA. I don't remember why I picked this up, but it's been in my fridge for about a week. The Holiday website, sorry, I'll show it for anyone watching it. The Holiday website claims it's named after a skinny dude named Fat Randy. And the can art, if you could tell, is a dude on skis who just like ate shit. And
Yeah.
the website has a cool feature where they post a link to a YouTube video of the real Fat Randy really eating shit on skis, and that's what prompted the can art.
Oh,
Kind of a neat, like, multimedia.
so Randy, not only does he have that nickname, but also,
Right.
yeah, great. Sorry, Randy.
Yeah, but I kind of like it. Like, that's the shit I would do. I would definitely embarrass somebody at every opportunity I could get, you know? But yeah, it's gluten-free for all you weirdos who can't handle gluten. And one guy on Beer Advocate only has 2 reviews on Beer Advocate, but one guy said it's the best gluten-free hop-forward beer he's had. He was crying because he can't have gluten, and he's like crying because he can't drink beer. I don't
I
understand
was like,
that.
this guy's crying a lot.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that. Like any of these dietary restrictions, like lactose intolerance and gluten intolerance. Dude, I will eat anything, process anything. My pee smells like, has that smell with asparagus. I have that thing. If I eat asparagus, it makes my pee smell. Um, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, weak stomachs. I'm not here for weak stomachs. I'm here for strong, powerful
Strong stomachs.
abductor muscles. The only thing strong on my body is my stomach, as the ladies well know. All right, so I haven't seen your pretty face in a couple weeks. It's been a while since we chatted. I don't have much in the way of what I've been absorbing because my last couple of weeks have been so random. I haven't watched a lot of TV. Is there anything you watched, or did you finish? I haven't finished The Boys.
I
so
finished
no
The
spoilers.
Boys, and I saw on our Discord that you said you had not. So I came in expecting to talk about that until I had read that. So
Yeah.
now we can't.
I think I've missed 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Wait, maybe 3 weeks. I can't remember. I think the last episode of season 2 I saw was when Stormfront and evil Superman, Homelander. I don't know. It's the one where they were. I think it's the one where he like burned down her trailer because someone else sent her, or she didn't respond to his flowers. Spoiler alert. So I think that's the last one I saw. So I think there's at least maybe 3 that I haven't seen.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't recall now.
Yeah.
It went by pretty quick. Well, I think that was because they released the first 3 the first week. Is that right?
Right. So I think I've only seen 5 and there's probably 8. So I'm probably 3 behind. But yeah, it's crazy. Like if you like, I was traveling and I was staying somewhere. Like basically, I don't watch TV unless I'm with my wife. So unless I'm with my wife on a Friday night or somewhere where we can watch these shows together, I don't watch them. So I've missed 3 weeks of Long Way Up, 3 weeks of The Boys. I haven't even started Fargo yet. Star Trek's coming back. Like I got so much TV. I haven't seen the season finale of Ted Lasso, which I'm dying to see. It's kind of a nightmare situation
over
over
here.
The
Boys is the only show I watch. So it's the best show on TV for me because it's the only thing I watch.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think it, you know, I don't think I can qualify it that way either because it is that good. So even if I were watching something else, I can't imagine it being as good.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I mean, other than sports, Speaking of sports, I'm out of my fucking mind. I'm seriously considering getting up at 4:30 a.m. on Saturday to watch the Merseyside derby, Liverpool versus my team, the Everton, 4:30 a.m. live.
Sure.
Because the problem is I turn so when I go to bed at night, I turn off my data and I turn off my internet so that I don't get the notifications don't wake me up in the middle of the night. The problem is as soon as my alarm goes off in the morning and I hit snooze or turn my alarm off, the internet automatically, it knows I'm out of sleep mode or whatever, automatically kicks back on, and I get immediate updates of sporting events that I follow. So I can't look at my phone at 7 a.m. if the game starts at 4:30 because I'm the first thing that'll be on my screen as soon as I punch in my code will be the score of the game.
And you
It's
don't want to see the score of the game?
I want to watch the game so I can watch the game later if
Oh,
through
well,
what.
then turn off that notification.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, and that's a lot of trouble. And I don't know if I can watch because this game is on NBCSN, so it's on Hulu, NBCSN, so it's not like I can just
All
watch it
sound
on.
like easy solutions.
It's not the easiest solution is getting up at 4:30 a.m., cracking a vodka pomegranate water, and just watching the Toffees try to win for the first time in 10 years against
Do
Liverpool.
that then. Getting up early is great.
Yeah, it's great, except that, it's not going to be great on a Friday night when I'm like looking at the wife and I'm like, hey, honey, why don't we, I know it's only 9:30, 10, but why don't we pack it in early tonight?
Well, you're of that age
Get
where
our
you can just
snuggles
go
in.
to bed on the couch. You can just fall asleep.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I got so upset last weekend, so a couple days ago, because the F1 race was over by the time I woke up, pretty much. And so all day I wouldn't look at if I saw a YouTube notification come up, I would swipe it without looking at it. I didn't want to find out who won. And then I'm trying to play it on ESPN Plus on replay. And when it comes up on ESPN Plus under the F1 banner to rewatch the race, immediately next to that is a highlight video of the winners. So I'm like, what the hell, man? So I knew two of the three finishers before the end of the race. But yeah, that was my entire Sunday morning, if you can believe it.
Yeah, I guess I'm sort of sports curious at this point in my life, but I don't watch anything. I don't follow anything. I listen to sports radio in the car when I listen to the radio because what are the options? I could listen to pop music and I hate it. I could listen to talk radio, which is overwhelmingly conservative.
Yes.
I could listen to Catholic radio. I'm not going to do that. So sports radio is really the only thing, even though 75% of it is unlistenable. It's just garbage. It's all jocks going into radio, and they're all dumb as stones, and I can't.
Yeah.
But there are a few hosts that I listen to. So, and I listen to some podcasts, some sports podcasts, and that's my sports stuff. I don't watch anything. I kind of listen to all of the opinion talk around it, and that's it.
Yeah, I remember being when I was in high school, we only had one U.S. channel, but every morning they would show the previous. I think I've talked about this before. They would show the previous night's CNN headline sports at 7 a.m. the next morning. So my dad and I, when he was getting ready for work and I was getting ready for school, we'd always have CNN headline sports with Hannah Storm on. Shout out to Smoke and Hannah Storm. And so every morning I would just watch that. So I would know so much about sports that I never follow just because you're watching an hour worth of sports every day.
Sure. In middle school, I would wake up in the morning and I watch Sports Center. I'd watch Dan Patrick and Keith Oberman on Sports Center.
The best Sports Center duo. Yeah, but then I remember when I moved to the States, I kept up that kind of habit. I would watch Sports Center every night. And I remember at one point, it might be this wife, might be the previous wife, might have been some rando hookup. Who knows what was going on in my life at that time? But some woman made a comment about I've never seen you watch sports, but you seem to be able to jump into any sports conversation, and it sounds like you know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, it's because I'm just regurgitating what Dan Patrick said or what Scott Van Pelt said or something like that. Yeah. But I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Oh, I think part of the reason I like F1 and I like Premier League football is the British commentary. I really enjoy listening to I really enjoy listening to British people speak and Australian people speaking. I really like other English speakers other than Americans. So I'm actually like, besides watching F1 and watching Premier League games, I'm also listening to F1 podcasts and Everton football podcasts. And it's just like the accents, the Scottish accents, the Irish accents, like it's so soothing because they're not like American talk radio where they just scream and like freak out and everything is like hot takes and everything is like shitty opinions. Like they're actually discussing things in a calm manner. And I find it soothing, especially when I'm going to bed at night. I'll put on an F1 podcast. Snore City, baby. But yeah, speaking of motorsports, that show that I like, The Long Way Up, which is The Long Way Down, Long Way Round. The guy Charlie Boorman, all of his other documentary travel shows popped up on Amazon, so I'm finally able to catch up on stuff he's done in the last decade or so. All these travel shows, and there's one called Race to Dakar, and he wants to do. It's all about him training to do the Dakar Rally, which is a 9,000 kilometer race through the desert that they do every year. And so I've always wanted to see it. So now it's on Amazon. So I watched it yesterday while I was working. And the best part of, like, spoiler alert if anyone's planning on watching this 14-year-old documentary at this point, but like less than halfway into it, he injures himself and has to withdraw from it. So the rest of the documentary is about him supporting his teammates and being like support staff and all this for the Dakar Rally. And it was pretty interesting to see because whenever you watch like these sports documentaries, most of them are about like conquering things and accomplishing your goals and like climbing the Dawn Wall in Yosemite or doing all these other things. And this one really ended up being about like the failure and the heartbreak of something that he wanted to do his whole life. And all this money was he basically talked about like all this money was dumped into them doing this because it's super expensive to do. You got to, all the equipment, you got to travel, it's super, super expensive. And he basically like, there's scenes where he's like, I let everyone down. People wanted me to fail and now I failed. I'm a failure. And he's kind of like, it was just really good to see, really interesting to see. And then how he kind of turned it around to just be like, well, now my job is to support the guys that are still doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think I've mentioned it on the show before, but there's a series on Netflix. I think if it's not the first season, then it's like just a short, self-contained thing or whatever, called Losers, about the people that failed in sports at the highest levels and what has happened to them. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, because that's what's realistic, right? Like that's what 90% of the people that attempt these things are going to do.
That's what sports is, If like Ricky Bobby says, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, pretty much. My son's walking back from skateboarding right now with his like shirt open, just like flowing in the wind and shit. But yeah, so I haven't been watching anything. I haven't been doing much. I did buy some comics last week. I bought Young Justice. So I'm a week behind because I was dog sitting last week, so I didn't get my comics. So I picked up Firepower number 4, I think it was, which is just fantastic. Somni Wilson, I beat it to death. Just great. But Robert Kirkman writes a really good family dynamic in this one. Makes it's like a really good sort of really well done kind of family jealousy kind of aspect to it. Really well done. And then I picked up We Only Find Them When They're Dead number 2, which I didn't love as much as number 1. So I'm scared that my boner.
I'm not familiar with this. What is this about?
We Only Find Them When They're Dead. That's the one where they're I talked about it with when Gonzo was on the show. I haven't talked about it with you. So it's basically set in space in the far-flung future where kind of scavenger ships, harvester ships descend on these dead celestials. So it's a boom book, but it's essentially Marvel Celestials, these giant gods that are dead. And there's an organization that divvies out, like, you can have this quadrant, you can have this quadrant. So might be like 50 ships. They're called autopsy ships. and then they basically get like a claim on the body, and they can go in and harvest organic material or whatever from these dead gods. And so there's a one ship where, things aren't quite what they seem, and they're
Okay.
the whole aspect of it is, why are they only dead when we find them? Why aren't they still alive? So then it becomes a quest to find one that's alive. It's written by Al Ewing, who writes The Immortal Hulk, which everyone has a boner for. I haven't read it. And then the artist is an Italian artist, I think. I don't have it in front of me, but it's normally wouldn't be my style of art. It's very colorful, very almost like manga, like almost looks like they took a anime and cut it up. It's like that bright and all this stuff, but just it's my kind of sci-fi. I'm into it. So it's fun. It's like they have this thing. I'm a big fan. It's a weird thing, but I'm a big fan when movies or TV cover the entire screen with like the title. Like I'm going to do this on the documentary I'm making. When I'm in Arizona, when it claims to be in Arizona, it's going to be Arizona going to cover the whole screen in giant block letters. Like I just love that aspect. And they do this. They do double page spreads where 99% of it just says we only find them when they're dead. And then there'll be like a tiny little spaceship. So I just dig the use of scale in it. Story's kind of cool. It is a boom book, which I know that the artist is getting paid way less than the writer, so it's problematic for me. It's like eating Chick-fil-A, Jimmy John's. But still, it's a fun book. And then
I would not have guessed the premise by the title.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some interesting like relationship dynamics in there. That in the past, when I was a kid, if I was reading this, I would have been like, what? But in 2020, when we're all a little more educated and woke, you're kind of like, oh, that's cool. Or you don't even register it. Like, I think I registered it for like a second, and I'm like, oh, doesn't matter. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. And then Young Justice number 19 I got, which it's you remember? I don't know if you remember. This I'm going to equate the action in Young Justice number 19, which you're the artist of. Do you remember when internet porn first came out, but you had the dial-up modem? So it'd like load the picture real slow.
Uh-huh.
And so you were just waiting to see some boobs or whatever. That's Young Justice number 19, where it's like, oh, this huge action scene's about to pop off. And then it's all and then it jumps to like the aftermath. I think that happened twice in number 19. But I will say the lead up to the action shots and the double page spreads and the monsters you drew were great. Really cool use of like, you had to draw some, is it Atlantean monsters or whatever. The pretty cool use of like using that crustacean vibe or using real life creatures to make your monsters, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm a stickler for reference stuff. There's cool looking stuff out there. So if you just take the pieces that you like and stick them together, you got a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was my I think I hit my high point on 19, and I don't know. Maybe I'm thing I'm meaning to say is that I had told the creative team that on 20, I'm like, I think 19 was better for me, and I'm really sorry about 20. It's weird because I don't know. I don't know how personal to get because they're all kind of like coworkers. But you don't hang out every day, but everybody's like super supportive and nice and everything. And I didn't want to sound like I was fishing for compliments because everybody just replied with, no, 20's great. And I'm not looking for anybody to blow smoke. I'm simply making like as objective an observation as I can.
Right.
Like, I think looking at it, 19 looked a lot better than 20 does.
Well, everyone should go out and pick up issue 20 next month. Regardless.
Yeah, I mean, still
fantastic work.
Guess, but
right. Yeah, no, when I was flipping through it, I was going to tell you, I don't know if I texted you or not, but I think it's your best issue of Young Justice.
It felt like it.
Yeah.
Doing it. And I think a lot of that had to do with the content and the way it was, the way the story was formatted really lent itself to a lot of playing around.
Yeah, had those big. If you worked traditionally, it had big splash moments to sell those pages, like big action shots, big glamour shots, if you will, for comics. Had a lot of pages of those. That's something else I thought about when I was flipping through it. Like, oh, Scott could sell this page had he drawn it on paper.
Yeah, I couldn't have though. I couldn't have drawn it on paper.
Right.
Is the thing.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it was fun because it was a lot of action stuff, which the previous issues had been really sort of light on. So it was nice to get in there and open up stuff. Yeah, and there was a bit on 20 where I got to choreograph like a big 4-page fight scene, something like that. And I missed doing that. You know, I missed I missed pacing out scenes and pages and moving from this to deciding when there's going to be an establishing shot and when we're going to go in for a close-up and when we're going to single this person out and how we're going to, pace a situation. You go in and you build up the little panels, and I missed all of that stuff. So when you're working in full script, as much as you're told there's an invitation to do that sort of stuff,
Right.
You still don't feel like it's your place to do any of that.
Right.
So yeah, it really started. I can't wait to get back to the last 3 issues of Copperhead. And then, it started stuff percolating on the back burner, just like, this might. So in the last couple of weeks, I've been paying attention to sort of like triggers and shit. So I don't know what the creative process is like for other people, and I'm sure it sounds pretentious as fuck, but you hear things. It might be like a word or a phrase or something, and it just sort of it lights a little fire that gets your attention. You think, oh, there's something here. I just need to be competent and talented enough to be able to dig it out.
Right. All right. Well,
So yeah. So I've got stuff
Nice.
grinding in the background.
Yeah. You get them.
It's a good feeling. That's sort of like the best part of the process is the very beginning before shit falls apart.
Yeah. The percolating phase, the percolating phase is the best part because it's all, anything can happen. It's all just ideas. Yeah, I was walking to the store yesterday. There's a couple things to get to. We're gonna follow up on your DC stuff in a second, and then there's a reason I was walking to the store yesterday. But I was walking to the store yesterday, and I'm immediately tossing ideas around in my head about what documentary project, what storytelling project that's not comics that I want to do next. And then after like a mile of walking, I had to be like, hey man, you still have to deliver your comic Kickstarter. You still have to deliver the documentary that you haven't like, I haven't even edited anything yet. It's only going to take me a little while to edit. I've edited in my head, but I haven't delivered my first non-comic book storytelling project. And I'm already like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I know how I'm going to make it better. But in my head, like, make it better than what? Because I haven't done the other thing
Right.
yet. So it's just like, it's a cycle of beat yourself up because it's not, you haven't done what you wanted to do yet. But then if you relax and be like, well, it's my first documentary project, it's my first video editing project, people should understand it's my first and give me some leeway. It's working out the kinks or whatever. But then it's like, well, I can't, that's an excuse. I'm giving myself excuses, to sort of slack off or maybe to allow it to not be what I want it to be. But anyways, that's a whole nother project. But yeah, it's so fun to let your mind wander in all the cool shit you're capable of doing, whether or not you put forth the time, effort, and money to do it is different. But it's not like I'm dreaming about going to Mars. I'm dreaming about something that I can do in the span of like 3 weeks. But it's just it's
Yeah,
I gotta stop daydreaming about 9 months or a year from now and focus on
sure.
the next
Yeah,
hour.
Project Potential is a fun place to play in.
Yeah. So speaking of your great work on Young Justice and your cute little beard, today it was announced this morning. I'm glad this popped up this morning. It gave me something to talk about. The future state, the DC.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter today. So
the new
guess it's a
DC.
thing.
Yeah. So as we talk about this on Thursday, the 22nd, Thursday the 15th, it's been announced. But this podcast won't come out for a couple of days. But anyways, the DC event series for the beginning of next year was announced, and you were drawing Superman House of L, Future State Superman House of L.
Yeah.
Oversized one shot on sale in February, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Is that right? I didn't write. Okay. So that's cool. I mean, they announced it today. A lot of the stuff looks cool. Before we get back to your cool book, a couple things that jumped out to me was there's 2 4-issue Batman miniseries. One has art by Dan Mora. One has art by Nick Darrington. Yeah. There's a Catwoman short or a Catwoman one shot by Otto Schmidt, who's a great artist. So there's some cool shit happening, and this is my kind of cool shit. I've talked in the past about my love for like legacy characters, and this is like future legacy character, which I love.
It's you get out of continuity, I stepped all over that word.
You could just act like your internet paused because it just kind of drug out for like an hour.
I trumped that one.
Yeah. So what can you tell us? I saw. I
don't think I can tell you anything.
Okay. Well, so I saw a sketch that you did. I don't want to have to edit this podcast because so far we're doing so good, but I will edit if I have to. You uploaded a quick sketch. Was that a design that you were sent, or are you contributing designs for this character?
Yeah.
So I know Dan Mora did a big poster almost of all the characters.
Yeah, so. I haven't seen a cover for it. There wasn't one in the article that I had read, and I didn't do any sort of searching, so I don't know what's out there.
Okay.
I don't even know who the cover artist is at this point. I just know it's not me because it's never me.
Thank God.
The one I sent you was for Future State Superman.
Okay, but that was something that you created, not something that
correct.
You sent.
Yeah,
okay.
and in the piece that I saw on Twitter this morning, I think there were 3 different Superman designs, and
right.
2 of them were shockingly similar to the ones that I sent you.
That's why I'm asking this
question. So I had to do a double take and think, there's no way they could have used what I sent them because that was only like a week ago.
Right.
So that's interesting. Everybody sort of gravitates towards the same
right
sort of thing.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I'm excited about it. I think Becky Cloonan's writing like a night. So I guess there's some 4-issue series, and then there's backups to all those. And one of the backups I think is a Midnighter series that Becky Cloonan is writing. But yeah, I like that kind of shit. But I also like it because it doesn't affect current titles. So if you're one of these guys that's all about current continuity, that's how you pronounce the word, then it doesn't affect you. You don't have to buy it. It doesn't do shit, except that it is right. It is kind of like Age of Apocalypse though, where it is taking over the main titles. The main titles are going on hiatus while these miniseries run. So yeah, 50-year-old fuckface in Nebraska can't get his Detective Comics for a couple months. But it's not. It can both be line wide changing and not line wide changing because shit can immediately go back to normal afterwards. So
and if you're doing a future story, obviously it's got no consequence whatsoever.
Yeah. So I like that. I like let's get weird for a little bit, but it's the safest way to do fun storytelling because you don't piss off your dedicated fan base. And you can bring in new readers. Like I saw like a Legion book that Riley Rossimo's drawing. that is like looks like just fucking like insane looking characters. I'm like, that's kind of fucking cool, you know? Like, let's get weird for a couple months. I'm into that.
Yeah. It's a bit uh, exciting and intimidating at the same time. Um, I don't know how much I could say. It's House of L, and I think it's okay for me to say. I don't know what year this takes place in. All this future state stuff. I think it's like the year 3000, like
Well,
1,000 years in the future. Or
no,
something.
I think the article that I read said some books, like the Batman books, I think only take place like 10 years in the future.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
I don't
then
know.
some books take place like thousands of years in the
Okay,
future.
yeah.
Right.
It might. This is a thing that I probably do know that I didn't pay attention to or have forgotten. Right. But yeah, so it's the Superman bloodline, however many years
right
in the future. So yeah, and I've got the first 21 pages of it, I think, so far, and it's all fight scene. So it's all the Superman family versus parademons and
nice
giant monsters and
oh.
in a future city. So I mean, you draw a bunch of straight lines and some squiggles and some circles and shit, and it's a building because who gives a fuck? So
you need to download a Kirby Crackle Brush.
So yeah, it's yeah. So I guess it now just in my head I put together that it's kind of like Young Justice 19 on steroids. So it's going to be a lot of double page spreads and monsters. Nice. So I feel better about it now.
Yeah.
Having thought through it.
Oh, that's so cool. It's cool. It's a cool next project for you. Do you know how many pages are going to be total? Is it 48?
48, I think.
That's cool. Yeah, almost 2.5 issues for a one shot. That just means it's going to be like $8.99.
Oh, something. I'll get you a comp.
No, I'll take out a loan. It's okay. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I said, I woke up to the news today. It's pretty cool. So I read the article and I saw the artwork on Comics Beat. So shout out to Heidi McDonald. Comics Beat is where I read the article. But yeah, cool. Speaking of other articles, I saw a link for this one. I don't know if it's on Gizmodo or IO9. I think if you go to io9.com, it goes to io9.gizmodo.com.
Okay.
I don't know what the fuck's going on with the internet these days. But you've heard about that publisher, I guess, air quotes, publisher, Terrific Productions.
Oh, yes, I have seen the stories on Twitter.
So they had an article, a writer, I want to say it's a lady, I'm not quite sure. She wrote an article where she talked to some artists who were under contract with them, and it's an article about their contracts and how just fucking insane this guy is. And if you follow his Twitter account, you know he's fucking nut job central. And part of it is he's not a native English speaker, so I think that affects the tweets. He's Hungarian, according to this article, but also just it's insane no matter what language. Even in broken English, it's fucking nutso. But one thing that stuck out to me was, or two things. One of them was there's a clause in the contract where the publisher owns the original art, and you have to if you sell it, you have to pay your publisher from your original art sales.
What?
So basically they own the original art. So if you did a page and it sold, which is never going to happen because the books are never going to come out. But anyways, let's say you drew a cool ass Youngblood page and then you sold it, you'd have to kick a percentage, like half of it back to the publisher as per their contract, which is fucking insane. And then, but that's not even the most insane thing. I didn't know about this one until today when I read the article. One of the clauses in the contract is they're going to keep 50% of your page rate on hold until 90% of America has been vaccinated against COVID.
What? What does that have to do with anything?
I think it has to do with it hampers sales because people aren't going to comic shops. And I guess the other clause was either 90% of America has been vaccinated or 2,500 comic shops reopen. And then the article stated there's only 2,000 comic shops in the country.
Jesus.
And they asked the dude about it. The dude was on record for most of this, and then like I guess in the article they said like towards the end he was saying, "Please don't run the story," blah blah. But he was saying like people should be happy that I'm hiring at all. So if I'm going to keep half the page rate until America gets its shit together, these people are still getting paid where most people aren't even hiring. Like he's basically pulling it.
Oh,
He's basically pulling a Trump, being like, "I'm hiring. I'm
gotcha.
giving jobs." You
Hmm.
know but it's just so nuts. Everything about it is crazy. It's just uh
Good luck.
yeah. But also all the artists they talked to, and they talked about the guy who runs Terrific Productions talked about he likes to hire foreign artists because they take a lower rate because of exchange rate. So all the artists are from other countries, and they were like, well, I just thought it'd be my big break into American comics. Like it's so sad that they just like, and maybe it's a language barrier that they couldn't immediately see that this shit is a scam. Like, and I think anyone who speaks English fluently as a first language would look at this guy's Twitter account and be like, I am never working for that
No.
dude. Never. Uh, but one thing in this article, I didn't make a note on it, but I'm now remembering is they talked to a lawyer who does a lot of contract law for comic creators, I guess. And the lawyer said, comic creators should get paid in increments, and I think maybe Marvel DC do this: layouts, pencils, inks, blah blah blah. You should get paid multiple times over the course of the gig. But one thing that the lawyer said was you should never wait 4 to 5 weeks to get paid in comics. And I immediately laughed out loud. And I'm like, this person must only deal with Marvel DC artists, or maybe Scholastic, or young adult graphic novels where they get paid up front. They get a lump sum up front, because outside of Marvel DC, I don't think there's a single publisher that doesn't pay sooner than 30 days, or that does pay sooner than 30 days.
Yeah, I mean that's not excusing that.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just saying that's the norm.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Right. But
Yeah.
I'm saying this person wrote that should never be considered
Sure,
acceptable.
I agree with that.
I accept it. I agree with it too. But in my experience in the industry, only Marvel DC pay less than 30 or sooner than 30 days. And it ain't like you're
Yeah.
getting paid on day 30. Your ass getting paid on day 35 on a good week with a good
Yeah,
publisher.
and I don't know what other I don't even know what the word is. Self-employed contract work is like. I can't imagine there are too many other industries like this. I mean, if you're a fucking handyman or something, you're getting paid when you get to the door to do the job. So I don't know.
Yeah, like it's weird for me. It'd be, unless you're financing it, like like a roofing job or a pool, that's different. It gets financed. But if I have to pay a dude to come over and tow my car, which I did, he didn't fucking hook that car up until the money was in the bank. There's no 35-day net turnaround on a tow, or like getting your sink snaked or whatever. They don't come in and do all that plumbing work and then they'll be like, here's the bill, just pay me in 36 days.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't want to, as I'm picking on other publishers, I don't want to pick on someone like Image where all the money comes out of an account on a book, because it's not really the same thing. I'm talking about work for hire. Like when I did work for Dynamite, it was
Sure.
30 days plus a Friday. Dark Horse, 30 days plus a Friday. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about and even my Dark Horse work was creator owned, so maybe that's different. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. If you work on a page rate book for Dark Horse, I could be wrong. My experience has always been 30 days, if not more. If you're not hustling and sending emails on day 33, saying it's such a weird industry, because like you mentioned, like I'm sure in other industries, other contractors or freelancers aren't like, oh, it's the 22nd, I better bill because in 5.5 weeks rent's due. You know, like I'm sure they're not thinking about that because they know they're getting paid that day. But in our line of work, I constantly like I have it marked on my calendar when to bill for my next issue, not for November's rent, but for December's rent because it's 37 days out or it's whatever, It's a weird publishing thing. And I've heard from people that some book publishers might even be worse than that. Like they might be like 90 days net and shit like that for illustrations and stuff like that. I'm sure the writer's getting paid on time in almost every.
And I think it's also an art thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that idea that it's not real work.
Yeah. Yeah. I get asked to do favors all day long, every day. Whereas if I was working at a bank, people wouldn't be asking me to do favors all day long, every day. And part of it's me. I also took like a 4-hour lunch yesterday and had a couple beers and went for like a 2-hour walk. So I can't get too upset but then again, I'm doing it to me. And I already hate myself. So it's like, it's okay to get mad at me. Right. So it's okay to expect things from me and fail myself. I don't like when people want me to do things and then I let them down and then they get shitty. But I'm like, hey, it's 2:00 on a Tuesday. You're working. Why don't you think I'm working? And it's because I'm on a walk drinking some beer. But
yeah, and so I think a lot of these the publishers give the appearance of them not really taking the work seriously.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, if you want somebody that's going to meet a deadline, which means they have to constantly produce work, if you pay them every week for the work done, it will get done faster.
Yeah. Yeah. 1,000%. And I know that as someone who's currently self-publishing a book. The second I get paying work, that takes precedent over the non-paying work. To be fair, I did get paid for the book I'm publishing. I just spent it all last year. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, just pay us, or pay everyone in your feed as you would pay a dude who worked at like Starbucks. Dude gets a check every 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
No, it's weird. But earlier I mentioned, as I shit on publishers and ruin my future career, hashtag need work starting in January, hashtag message me. I mentioned earlier I had to get a tow. So we'll go into my week of woe as we wrap up this episode. So last week I was dog sitting. Oh my God, that's how long everything is in COVID. It was literally last week. I dog sat for a week. My parents were going to a national park, didn't allow animals, or maybe they just didn't want to deal with the dog. So I dog sat for them for a week in their cabin, which is a nice cabin, a nice area. You've been there, I think.
Yeah.
I have a vague memory of you changing a diaper in the basement. Anyways, on my wedding day, I think we had it. Yes. So anyways, so I dog sat up there at the cabin, and I quickly realized I used to always think like I've always been a really impatient father. Like I snap, I'm shitty. Like I'll just quickly snap on my kids and raise my voice and really be impatient. And then I see friends of mine who have kids when they're 40 and they're really good fathers. So I used to think like, oh, I just
gotta wait.
If I'd had kids at an older age, I would have been a better dad because I would have been more patient. No, because a dog is essentially a toddler that doesn't learn or grow up. And by 3 days into dog sitting, I was like, what do you want now? Like, what do you need? Because I'd be sitting there trying to work. And part of it is I messed up on some stuff. So I was working in a non-ideal situation. But anyways, I'm trying to work. And the dog would just be looking at me, kind of whining. And then it would do this slow, like, creep towards where I was sitting. And I would look over and it'd be a couple inches closer. And then I would work for like 10 minutes and I look over. Movie. It'd be like a foot closer. But the whole time it's just staring at me and kind of whimpering a little bit because the dog is used to living with 2 retirees who my mom baby talks it pets it whenever it wants. You know, they have a lot of time to spend with the dog because they're just home all day because they're retired. Good for them. I'll never have that. But so I'm just like I can't. I'm working. So I'm talking to an animal that doesn't speak English, trying to explain.
What does it speak?
I don't know. I don't know what it speaks, but
Only Italian.
it doesn't. Hey, puppy. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, I can't play right now, and I can't give you attention right now. I have to work. And it's like, they don't know what any of that means. It's essentially like a 2-year-old. But, so that was kind of frustrating, and it put me on edge because you got to walk the dog every 4 hours, but you have to feed it in between then. So it's basically like every 2.5 to 3 hours, I had to stop what I was doing to do something for this animal, either feed it, walk it, whatever. So it was
Get
like,
out of here.
so it was like a nightmare situation. But a lovely dog. It's not the dog's fault. The dog's a dog. What are you going to do? But also, like, the dog is getting older in age, and so it has a little limp. So at one point it was following me around the house. So if I forgot something downstairs, I felt guilty about going downstairs to get what I forgot, because the limpy dog would follow me downstairs and then follow me immediately back upstairs. And then the limp would be worse. So it's just like, so I don't think I'm built to take care of elderly parents or young children, or really anything on the planet. So anyways, so that was my week, but my dad has a garage full of tools. So I'm like, I'm going to buy a ramp, or not buy a ramp. Sorry. I'm going to build a ramp, but I can't afford to build a ramp, and it needed to fit into my hatchback. So I had to measure it. So it's I really just built like this little wedge. It has like a little area for like rail slides and truck stalls and kind of stuff like that. So everything was built kind of low to the ground economically. So I did that. That was fun. I did that like Tuesday morning. I was up at like 6:30 out in the garage. There's javelina running around. It was great. So I built that, and then like immediately after building it and skating it for like 3 minutes, I took it for granted that it's just this little thing. It's only 8 inches off the ground. It's just 2x8 that it's up on. No big deal. I didn't pay attention. I didn't respect the build, and I ate shit. And as I was eating shit, I'm looking at myself about to fall to the ground, and it's like all slow motion. I can see my chest heading for this elevated platform that's only it's only like 6 inches wide. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to break something. So I put my arm down to stop it. So I hit my palm on one end of it, but my chest hit this 8-inch high kind of railing, or I don't know. I guess it'd be a railing, so hard that I then bounced off of it onto the driveway. And I'm rolling around. I'm holding it. I got a cut in my ankle from one corner of it. My palm is hurt from trying to stop my fall. But I think, according to Mayo Clinic.md or whatever the fuck it is, I really think I fractured a rib. But you can't do anything with a fractured rib anyway. So it's like, I'm not going to go to the doctor because there's nothing to do. You can't set a fractured rib. But so for the last like 7 or 8 days, if I turn the wrong way or if I move my arm the wrong way, just a searing pain in my rib cage where I hit it. And this doesn't count to the tailbone accident I had like 2.5 weeks ago that still is causing me pain. So anyways, I built this thing on Tuesday. I skated it for 10 minutes, and it's been sitting in either a car or a living room since. Hasn't been ridden since.
This skating for recreation thing sounds a little dangerous. I think you'd be better off with like heroin or something.
So listeners of the show will know a couple episodes ago we had Jay Gonzo on. Jay is my skate buddy on Monday mornings. So last Sunday I'm up here nursing all sorts of injuries. Actually I'm hurt. So that's what I told my wife. My wife's like, you got to go to the doctor. And I said, no, honey, it's like football, which I never played. But I'm like, I'm hurt. I'm not injured. So I'm not going to the doctor. I'm not stopping what I'm going to do. I'm just going to heal up. So, but anyways, Jay and I usually text on Sundays to say if we're going to go skate the next day. So I'd forgotten that I wasn't in Phoenix. I was about to send him a text saying I'm not in Phoenix. He sent me a text literally as I was about to text him saying, I'm injured. Sorry, I'm hurt. I'm hurt and I'm not in Phoenix. I can't skate tomorrow. I got a text as I was texting him and he said, I'm in the hospital. I can't make it to the skate park tomorrow. So he had a little health scare this week.
Was it skateboard related?
No,
Okay.
it's more involved than that. It involved a 2-day hospital stay, which I'm not speaking out of turn. He talked about it on his social media, but yeah, he had a week. He had a week, and I hope he has good health insurance. But yeah, so neither of us are going to be skating anytime soon for the next couple of weeks at least. But yeah, I watch a lot of Cheers at my parents' house because they don't have cable. Like they have like Netflix and shit, but they also have the satellite. So up here where I live in the Northern Villa, you could get that digital satellite, but you're only going to get like one NBC channel because there's no repeaters.
They have retiree satellite, so you
Right.
only get Cheers and Murphy Brown.
I mean, yeah, they get like 15 or 16 channels, but one of them is like LAFF channel, and it's like Cheers, like every night for hours. And I was watching it, and I'm like, Cheers is so good. Like it is so fucking good, especially the post Shelley Long Cheers, like the Kirstie Alley Cheers. Well, because the Kirstie Alley Cheers lines up with the Woody Harrelson Cheers. They go coincide. Just so good. Just so many funny, like the way they did it. Every episode just takes place in that one room. It's like
they have that one set.
It's so well done. So I watch a lot of fucking Cheers at my parents' house. But speaking of the ramp that goes into the car, and speaking of the tow, as I left my parents' house, we were going to go down to Phoenix to pick up a car for my son, which he's getting for free. So me and my son are driving down to Phoenix on Friday night, and I get in an accident, and I totaled my car. The Korean Fireball is gone.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's not gone. It's on the street in front of my brother's house with a huge fucking dented front end on both sides. But yeah, so I mean, I had a week of not getting work done that I needed, a needy dog, and then an accident to my rib cage, and then an accident to my car. So last week sucked. And all this happened after I promised my Kickstarter backers that I would have the Ronin and the Shisa done on the 19th, next Monday. I said,
so that's what it was.
I said, I'm going to have plenty of time to work on it at my parents' house because it's nothing but work. I got no kids, no family, no nothing, just a dog. And then I loaded up my big 22-inch Huion, my big hog. I loaded up my desktop. I loaded everything up. I get down there. I forgot my power cord to my desktop. So I had to work for a week on my Microsoft Surface, which it's, I'm a size queen. What can I say? It's hard for me to work on this little thing when I got this big thing right next to me, So it's been 10 days of just trauma and guilt and pain. But most people have it worse than me. I mean, I do have health insurance if I need it. I do have money for a car.
Yeah, I mean, physically anyway, you keep seeming to injure the things that you can do nothing about. I mean,
right.
You can't put a cast on a tailbone or rib or.
Right. Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to run out of those things.
Yeah, there's not many. Most things you can. I guess collarbone is next, but then after that, you're really.
And injure your ear.
Yeah. I'll just cut that off. I don't need it, and it'll look gnarly. But yeah, it's been a fucked up week of highs and lows, and I don't know. I can't wait for this time next week. Even if I'm late on that Kickstarter by 1 or 2 days, I should be done with this amount of stress in a week. And then the video stress, then I still got to finish the video part of it. But The video part was supported by people from high school who they want it, but they're not comic fans that have been let down by numerously delayed Kickstarters. So the comic fans, I think, are the ones that are
They're
like,
new to this.
yeah. So the people who supported the video part of my documentary, I'm not getting a lot of shit from them. No shit from them, actually. They're just like, whatever, man. You know what? Just do your thing. Labor of love, all that cool shit. But the comic fans, they're kind of like that too. But then you do get the occasional like, oh, thanks for the update. I was getting worried. And so I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to disappoint two people by not having this done on Monday. So instead, I'm just going to beat myself to shit all weekend. Um, but that's what I'm good at. That is literally what I'm best at on this planet is hating myself and thinking that I failed everyone around me. When in reality, no one cares. Not as
I
much
wouldn't
as
say
I,
nobody cares.
not as much as I do, at least.
Yeah, certainly.
Right. No one's harder on yourself than yourself. Oneself. No one's harder on oneself than oneself.
This is true.
Yeah. Cool. Whew, I had a lot of fun. I haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. It's been a while. Missed you. I mean, we talk, but we don't talk.
Talk.
Talk. That's right. I feel good. I feel like there's no editing.
Good.
I don't need to edit this podcast. I'm just going to throw some titles on it, put it up.
Boom.
Good to go. So everyone should be on the lookout for DC Future State House of L in February, which means it'll be available for order next month. Young Justice 20 comes out next month. Family Tree Volume 2 comes out Wednesday.
Ooh.
From when this is available. And then Family Tree number 9 comes out a month after that. We're just rolling along.
Word.
Yeah. Comics, motherfucker. All right. Anything else?
Nah, brah.
Did we ramble? I think next week. I don't know. Are you a big Halloween dude? Are you a big horror
I'm not
guy?
a big anything dude.
Yeah, we got a question on the Patreon when I was soliciting ideas a couple weeks ago. And one was kind of horror themed, and I said, "Oh, maybe we'll save that for our Halloween episode." But
I'm sorry, you cut out. What was the horror themed?
We had a question on our Patreon about some horror themed things.
Oh,
and I said, "Oh, we'll save those for our Halloween episode." But I'm quickly realizing I think our Halloween episode might be both of us just saying we don't care about Halloween or horror.
I like both. I just don't get up for anything is the problem.
Yeah.
Like I put out all the Halloween decorations out front in the house last weekend. It's the same fucking thing as Christmas. It's the kids get super fucking excited about it and they ask, can we do it? Can we do it? Can we do it? And then it's like, yeah, we're going to do it today. And then they all fucking disappear and it's dad setting up everything. And I hate it. So I hate Christmas, and I guess I never really gave a shit about Halloween as a kid. The only reason you care is because of all the free candy.
Right.
And I guess dressing up, if that's your thing, it was never my thing. I didn't really get into it much as a kid, and I certainly don't as an adult. I know a lot of people get excited about the costume stuff, but I can't.
Yeah, so everyone tune in next week for our Halloween episode.
Yeah, maybe we'll pick. I don't know. Should we? I don't know if are you a horror movie guy? Should we talk about something?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But maybe we should text and you tell me your scariest horror movie that you've seen, and I'll tell you mine, and maybe we'll try to watch them if they're available.
Okay.
But that would involve 2 hours of your time in the next week to devote.
Oh, I got nothing but man.
Okay. All right. Because I already know the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. I know it. I'll text it to you. And if you haven't seen
it. I think there's a difference between favorite scary movie and scariest movie.
Well, yeah, the only reason I ever watched horror movies in high school was to see boobs. I don't care about horror movies.
Okay.
Like there's a scene in Friday the 13th. I think it's part 2 because that's where it really kicks off, where he puts a pole through these this couple humping on bunk beds or something like that. And he
Hmm.
drives a pole, like a metal pole through both of them,
Okay.
skewers them.
I've never
And,
seen any of those.
and I think people were like, oh God, that's terrifying. And I remember when I was like 9, 10, 11, whenever I first watched that movie, I was like, oh, that means we're not going to see her boobs again because that scene's over. Like that's what I took from that. So yeah, we'll talk about it next week. We'll do a Halloween / horror themed episode next week.
Oh my God, next week.
Yeah, it's a weekly podcast, bro.
It's not 2 weeks.
Right, but if we record next week, it'll come out the Monday before Halloween.
Ah. Okay.
Because episodes come out on Monday.
Yeah, I don't think about this stuff.
No, that's a producer's job. And that dude's about to get fired. All right. Anything else, buddy?
Nah.
All right. Send us out of here, Sober Scott.
Yeah, fuck off, Scott.
Fuck off, Scott.